Hey, all, we're here for part 2 of lesson 12. We're going to talk a little bit more about parallel lines and transversals. So in the first lesson, we talked about if we had two parallel lines, then these things existed. So alternate exterior and alternate interior angles are congruent, corresponding angles were congruent, and consecutive angles were supplementary. In this case, we want to know some information that would show that lines are parallel. So for example, here we want to know which lines would be parallel if angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent. So let's go check out angle 1 and angle 2. So angle 1 and angle 2 are formed by line M and lines A and B. So I might get rid of the distractions and redraw this with just line A, line B, and line M. And I'll put in angle 1 and angle 2. So not a perfect picture, but it helps me get rid of the distractions. So again, angle 1 and angle 2, we know when two lines are crossed by transversal, these two are in the spot that tells us they are corresponding angles. And if 1 and 2 are congruent, we know when corresponding angles are congruent, then the lines must be parallel. So we know that line A is parallel to line B, and that's what we're looking for. Because these two angles are congruent, corresponding angles, we know that A and B are parallel lines. And remember, this symbol, the two they look like L's symbols together, tells us that A and B are parallel. So go ahead and pause, and you let me know which lines are parallel if angles 6 and 7 are congruent. So again, I eliminated the distractions. 6 and 7 are formed by lines L, M, and B, so I just drew those. I can see again that they're corresponding angles. When corresponding angles are congruent, we have parallel lines. So B is the transversal. That means that L and M are parallel. Another way we can see this is we want to know what value of x in this picture is going to say that A and B are parallel. So we want A and B to be parallel. We'll look at what kind of angle pair we have. In this case, we have consecutive angles. And we know that if two lines are parallel, then consecutive angles are supplementary. So they add to 180. So we can write an equation here that tells us our two angles, 2x plus 9 and 111, add up to 180. And we'll just solve that for x. So in this problem, if x is 30, then we're saying these lines A and B are parallel because these two angles will then add up to 180. So 2 times 30, I'll plug x in. 2 times 30 is 60, plus 9 is 69 degrees. And 69 degrees and 111 degrees do add up to 180. So these two are supplementary, which makes line A and B parallel. Go ahead and pause and give this one a shot. So in this one, we have two corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are going to be congruent if two lines are parallel. So we'll say that these two are equal. Set up this equation and find that x is 19. So when x is 19, A and B will be parallel because the corresponding angles are then congruent. So I have one question for you to do. It's a little bit simpler than the ones we've done. Just find the measure of angle y that makes C parallel to D.